time it is. It's episode 95. I almost forgot what episode I'm on. Episode 95. And we're keeping it international, but not really, because we're all American. We're all raised in America. But I need to tell you guys to subscribe to my channel. Make sure it's Fumble Podcast on YouTube. There's a little thing flying here. I'm trying to grab it. Fumble Podcast, as you know, hit that subscribe button, hit the super like, comment on the videos. Let me know what you think. I've dedicated a lot of the recent episodes to the situation in Iran and what's happening over there right now. But the atrocities are not just in Iran. Unfortunately, there's a lot of injustice happening all over the Middle East. And it's time to make the Middle East shine again, the way it's meant to be shine. It's a beautiful part of the world, and we want to bring the proper justice to these nations so they can be free like the West, like any other free country that's out here. But this episode, I want to make sure you know I'm Pej the Maniac. Follow me on all my channels. You see them all here on the screen. I have a really cool guest for you guys, and I have to tell you, her and I met at none other than Anis's concert. That's right. You all know Anis is one of my boys. He's been killing it. Free Me is out now. Free plug, Anis. You didn't even ask me to do this. Free plug for his song. Yeah, we met in Berkeley, and the rest is history. We connected on Instagram, and she's of Palestinian descent. She was born in Virginia. I have roots in Virginia and Maryland as well, so we'll talk about that. She grew up in different countries, which is pretty cool. Spending the majority of her childhood in Dubai, graduated high school there, studied animal science and biochemistry at Berry College in Rome, Georgia, and went to University of Georgia for her DVM MPH, followed by a field service internship prior to coming to my alma mater, UC Davis, for a livestock herd health and reproduction residency. Now that's the place for live herd, livestock herd. She growing up, Hibah has been lucky enough to visit her family in Palestine. She has been a part of student groups advocating for justice for Palestinians, as well as groups such as Right To Movement Palestine, and has participated in events such as let me get this right, UNRWA's Relay Run for Refugees. Hibah enjoys running and hiking in her free time. Hibah, welcome to Fumble Podcast. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's appreciate you coming on. We've been trying to get Hibah on for a minute. Schedules weren't syncing up, but finally we did it. Yes. Yes. So you love running. Let's start with the let's go backwards. So you love running. What got you into running?
Yeah, I do love to run. So I've been running for 15 years.
Wow.
And actually what got me into running, ironically, was not being good at sports. So I tried basketball. I tried soccer. I loved soccer, but I was just terrible. And so when I didn't make the team in 10th grade, when like practically every 10th grader made it but me, I decided it was time to try something else. And then I tried cross country, and I had no idea what that meant, what I would be doing. But I was like, yeah, sure. Sounds like it doesn't take as much hand-eye coordination. So I started running, and I fell in love with it. And I've been doing it ever since. So I ran in undergrad and then have continued running through vet school and until this day. I love it so much that I broke my hip running a marathon.
Right. Oh my God, that's right. How are you doing with that? That's why we had to reschedule. I just remembered.
Yeah, because I had to get emergency surgery.
Are you 100 now?
Almost. I'm not back to running yet. I'm still getting back into walking. So I'm walking with one crutch now, but I'm slowly weaning off of crutches and getting back to walking on my own. And then to get back to running, it'll be 3 to 6 months. So, but
Well, you can
that's the
shoot a
goal.
basketball.
Yeah, I could.
Dude, I love basketball. I hate running. So let's just get that going. I'm so impatient with running. I can hoop for 5 hours. I can't run for
Mhm.
10 minutes. It's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I know the discipline. I can understand people who can get in that zone of running. I'll do it if I have to. When I get really fat, I'll do it. I get fat a lot. But hooping is my thing, man. But I never pursued it in high school or anything. But I just love it.
Yeah.
No, man, that's awesome. Cross country, yeah, that's impressive. 15 years, and so you're doing it through college and all. That's really cool.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then tell me more about this. You said here, relay run for refugees. So
Yeah.
yeah, what is that about?
Yeah, so the Relay Run for Refugees was a really cool event that I was lucky to be a part of. So it happened in the fall of 2019, where a bunch of runners came from Palestine to the US, and then some runners like from the US joined with them, and we ran from New York to DC. To raise awareness. That was when the Trump administration cut off funding for UNRWA. So we were basically running from city to city to raise awareness of the funding that was cut and to promote, like to try to raise funding for the UNRWA. So we stopped in different cities and different states and ran relay style. So we took turns running, and then the rest of us were in the van, like driving. And it was such a cool event. It took place over a week, and it was just really cool to run with like friends who I knew from Palestine who had come for this purpose, and then also to meet other people along the way, like Layla, Anissa's sister. Like that's how we met.
What up, Layla?
Yeah. So it was such a cool event and really like something special to be a part of. And we did really well. Like I think a lot of people like learned more about what was happening in Palestine and why it was an important cause to support. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's New York to DC. What is that? So you're running from New York. Okay, I lived near DC growing up. So you lived in Virginia. You were born there, right? So
yeah, I was born in Virginia.
Yeah. What part, by the way? Nova?
I was born in Roanoke.
Roanoke. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. I was born in Iran, but I grew up in Maryland, and I was always in Virginia. So like that DMV area was, it was definitely like people who are from there. They know exactly what we're talking about. It's the tri-state. Well, DC is not really a state, but that tri-region, it's frequently visited. So growing up in Virginia, so what is it from New York to Virginia? How long did that take? Or DC, sorry.
It's like about 200 miles or so.
So in I'm assuming days. How many?
Yeah. It took us I think it was 5 or 6 days.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So how do you guys pace? How did you pace yourself? Like, I'm sure you had to stop and rest.
Yeah, definitely. We stopped. So we basically like drove and ran all day.
Yeah.
And then stopped. At night, we would like talk to the community. Like different people came to our events to hear about what we were doing. And so we'd stop, talk to them, and then go rest in the hotel and then start again the next morning.
Yeah.
So it was really.
So how was that the furthest you've jogged or ran?
No, actually.
What? All right.
So that was like, so we took turns doing that. So I didn't run like the full 200 miles, but I ran. So I think we probably ran about 6 miles each a day, but I was training for a marathon at the time. So I remember running like 20 miles one day. Mm-hmm. And so overall, I probably ran like 50 miles that week. But the furthest I've run is 120 miles. And it was something I did in Colorado.
Let's go. That's high altitude as well, man.
But it was 120 miles over 6 days. And that was also a lot of fun.
I'm sure. How has it been? So other than the injury you mentioned, the hip injury, the recent one, in these runs, how do you keep loose? How do you stay, obviously hydrated, but how do you pace
Yeah.
yourself so that you're not burning out or risking injury?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I think just running for so long, I know my body pretty well, and I've found a pace that works for me. And
Right.
and then for example, when I with the relay run, the van followed us along. So like every few miles they stopped and like gave me water when I was doing my 20-mile run and gave me like a gel and stuff. So I had support along the way. During races, like during a marathon, they also have like stops where you can get gels and water and stuff along the way.
Yeah.
And then when I go out on the trails, I have a backpack where I carry my own water and gels. But really, it's just listening to your body and like getting to know what your body can do,
Yeah.
and setting your own pace. So
I never listen to my body, and that's why I'm
yeah,
always
yeah.
I'm always playing basketball like on one leg, and then my mom's like, "You're gonna die," and I'm like, "Yeah, probably." It's the adrenaline, but no,
Yeah,
obviously
exactly.
the responsible way is what he was doing, and she's actually listening to her body. I'm 37, so I better listen to my body, or I won't be able to do much more. So that's incredible, man. Colorado. I've only been through Colorado as far as like an airport, but
Yeah,
how was the last thing I want to ask about this run, and then I want to
yeah,
get into
yeah.
your roots and stuff. Elevation wise, did you feel that? What part of Colorado was it?
You know, surprisingly, like we were running in the Rockies, but
Okay.
surprisingly, I didn't really feel the altitude. Like I
Oh
felt
wow.
pretty good. Yeah. The really hilly parts, we mostly hiked and then we ran like the flatter parts. But I was surprised, like pleasantly surprised that the
Yeah,
altitude didn't affect me
that's
as much as
good.
I thought. Yeah.
What part of the what season was it? Was it summertime?
Yeah, it was early August that
Early
we
August. Yeah.
went. Hmm. So it
That's
was
where it's like
beautiful.
it's beautiful, it's bearable, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
cold over there is different. It hits different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
um but that's awesome. Pretty cool, really cool stuff. So your roots,
Yeah.
uh you were born in Virginia, Palestinian descent.
Yeah.
You've been to Palestine, right?
Yeah.
Many times.
Yes. Hmm.
So talk to me about because talk to me about your passion for your motherland,
Yeah.
and maybe update the audience on what's going on right now, just
Yeah,
briefly. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So I'm originally Palestinian. My parents grew up there. I've never lived there, but I still like when somebody asks me where I'm from, I always say Palestine because that's where I feel the deepest ties.
Yeah.
Like something about it, whenever I go and see my family and meet new friends, I'm always like, wow, this is my homeland. Like this is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's hard because because in a way our like where our homeland it's like people are trying to erase it in a way,
Mhm.
and it gets harder and harder to to keep those ties to those roots.
Yeah.
So that's something that I really like try to promote is that yes, Palestinian people do exist. And when people ask me like, what is Palestine? Where is Palestine? Like, I think it's really important to explain explain what it is and explain
Yeah.
where it is and explain what's going on. So there's an occupation. And I think that's what confuses people is that
Yeah.
Palestine is under an Israeli occupation.
Mhm.
And that's been the case for 73 years. And if we look back at the history in 1948, so like 1947 is when the UN partitioned the land of Palestine into Palestine and Israel. And since then, in 1948, about 850,000 Palestinians were pushed out of their country. And even though under UN rule, refugees have a right to return to their country, these Palestinians who are now like in the millions are still have not been allowed to go back to their country. But Israel, as a Jewish state, allows for Jews to immigrate to Palestine. And we've seen this with the expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, which has been declared illegal even by Israel's biggest ally, the US. But despite that, these are expanding, and we see like special roads that only Israeli settlers can use and that Palestinians within the West Bank are not allowed to use. So we definitely see like segregation within Palestine and just a lack of human rights and lack of freedom of movement in the country. So that's like still going on to this day. Like that has not changed. And then there's more and more villages that are being ethnically cleansed, like the Mesefer Yatta area. Most recently, many people have been evicted from their homes, and people have been peacefully protesting. So that, like, the beautiful part of Palestinians is their steadfastness and their and how they're persistent they are, and like all the non-violent methods of resistance that they display is what's so beautiful, is that like the people are so strong, and that's what like gives them the power to be able to do that, like everything, all the suffering that they've been through. But a majority of Palestinians fight back with nonviolence. So we see like there's demonstrations going on, and then we saw the Great March of Return, where Palestinians, like thousands of Palestinians marched, and then that became like a worldwide thing, where people in solidarity with Palestinians were marching and demonstrating to give Palestinians the right to their land. Recently, we've also seen that the minister of Israel, Ben Gvir, has given Israeli police and soldiers the right to take down Palestinian flags. So like this new Israeli government is really far right. And so we've seen an increase in the violence against Palestinians, like this year alone. So basically like in this month alone, 14 Palestinians have been killed. And some of those have been kids, like minors who have been killed. So there's, I don't know, a lot of, like an increase in the violence, and then just suppression of like Palestinian freedom of movement, freedom of human rights, and freedom to display our flag. So, so I mean, it's crazy.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking when you hear that innocent children are being victimized.
Yeah.
For a very asinine and selfish greed and just another form of tyranny by these governments, man. It's kind of ironically sad and like it's sad because, and the irony that I'm talking about is, you know, I can completely empathize with the Palestinian people because, or this way, right there in this country, you know, well, a little bit here too, but in this country, in Iran, it's the same thing right now. You know, it's the same thing, and you know, they're also doing that to children. And the irony is the fact that they're brainwashed. They've tried for years. They've tried to brainwash their people to go against Israel, to go against the people of Israel, and the people. The only reason I'm saying this is that the people are the victims. The governments have been causing these issues. Now, you can speak more on this than I can as far as the relationship between the people of Israel and the people of Palestine, because I know Israelis here and I know Palestinians here, and they left for a reason. Like they, you know, because they're done with all this tyranny, and they love to go back freely into their land, into this shared space, and hopefully there can be a compromise, because otherwise, you know, I know it was unjust what happened initially with the Palestinian land that was taken and occupied, and through the UN and all of that, and we're fighting the UN right now for Iran. So it's like, you know, what's going on with this investigation of human rights violations in Iran. They passed it, they're investigating, and we're just like, okay, well, that's great. What action have you taken? Like these, like there hasn't been any sanctions, there hasn't been any expulsion of the Islamic Republic regime, right? Which is not Islam. I always say that. The same way that the Israeli government is not Judaism, if you want to ask me. I work with the Jewish community here, and I love them. They're great people. I work with Muslim people too. They're great people. I'm not on either side. I feel the people have good in them, and it just becomes these tactics that these governments use to make you believe something that's not real. And so anyway, but both governments are doing the same tyrannical thing, which is what kill children. The Islamic Republic and the Israeli government, they're both doing that to the poor Palestinian kids and over there to their own people in Iran. So it's that's where I can't believe it. It's horrible. Yeah. But this is why I had you on, because I just wanted us to, I didn't want it to get too heavy. I just wanted to keep it light. But it's hard to keep these things light. Ultimately, it's just we need to be the voice of the voiceless, right? And that's and I see Layla posting, I see yourself posting. Yeah. And it's just it needs to happen. We need to put more light on this, and I believe that people have the power ultimately, and these governments ultimately are gonna have to get in to fall in line and listen to the people, because there's way more of us than there is of these governments. So
exactly.
Where do you foresee, because I know you love Palestine and you want to one day, you said you want to maybe live there. So tell me what part of Palestine are your roots from, and then also what part are you interested in going to, as far as location and how it is with the city. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So my parents are from Jerusalem. They were raised in Jerusalem, and I think if I went back, I'd probably go back to the West Bank, because I think that's where I can make the biggest difference. So my dream is to go back and take like the skills that I have, so being a veterinarian, to take that to help like the people and the animals. And so in my veterinary career, I've focused on livestock animals. So I'm primarily working with sheep and goats and cows. And in Palestine, there's a lot of sheep and goats. So that's like my ultimate dream, is to go to Palestine and work with farmers and try to reduce like the really, really bad diseases that spread in sheep and goats, that prevent them from trading those animals. And it also makes it unsafe, like to eat those animals. So that is my goal. Like I would love to go back and work from a public health point of view, to protect, like better protect the people and their livestock animals. So
that's awesome. That's wonderful. And Davis is the place to get that practice. So we're called the Aggies. The Davis is Aggies, agriculture. There's a lot of livestock there. I majored in music.
Yeah.
But, it's a great, it's one of the biggest schools for agriculture. And, the farm and live animals. And I don't know the terms, you know it better, but that's what do you have like a rough idea of, like, first of all, when are you going to be finished with your residency?
So I have another year and a half left. Yeah.
Great.
Out of 3 years.
So is your goal to?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Out of and then after that wraps up, do you have a rough idea of when the next move is going to be, the big move maybe?
Not yet. So I'm like trying to find the best way to get there. I think if I can find an organization that will allow me to have some outreach in Palestine, that would probably be the best way. As a resident, I'm not making a great living, so I think I'll need to like make a little bit of a salary so that I can go and provide my services. So that's the next step, is
And
to try to find
you'll get it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And then so do you have family out here in Cali, or are they mostly in the East Coast still? Or even Palestine?
Yeah, so most of my relatives are in Palestine, like my cousins and aunts and uncles. My parents are still in Dubai. I have two sisters in Georgia and a sister in Spain, all studying. Oh, well, one of them
Wow, look
works,
at
but
that.
yeah. So we're
That's
all
awesome.
over the place.
Which number are you?
I'm the
That's
oldest.
cool. That's cool. You're the oldest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I only have one sister older as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I was not a good brother to her.
Oh, where does she live?
I annoyed her. She lives I'm actually going to their house after this podcast. She lives like 15 minutes in Elk Grove, same where I am.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So we're in Elk Grove, and
Nice.
yeah, we're not that far apart. In fact, when I was at Davis, it's hilarious. With my roommates, the funny story is that I would they were always mad at me because I'd come home, grab a bunch of Persian food and take it back to to our apartment in the colleges. I'm sure you know where that is, in the colleges. And then I just fill up the small ass fridge that we had, and I fill it up with so much like bread and and they're always like, dude, there's no room, and none of them are Persian, so it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, just because all their families lived in like Tracy or like further, so it was just
Oh, that's funny.
that was a little funny. I'm sure if they hear this, yeah, they're like, it's a good memory for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not that far. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that I could do that. But man, I'm sure you miss your sisters and family in Dubai. But you visit there frequently, right?
Yeah.
You've been traveling a lot.
Yeah, I do at least once or twice a year. Is when we get together.
That's awesome.
So
that's great.
yeah, and it's always so great
That's
to
really
be
cool.
together.
That's good.
Yeah,
family time is awesome. Yeah, family
for
time
sure.
is awesome. I don't travel as much just because I'm in the woodworks right now with my new career, with comedy and acting. But it's doing great. I was just in LA. I go back and forth a lot, but as far as overseas or even family reunions, I haven't been to one in a minute. So I think it's time.
Yeah,
I got to do it.
yeah, definitely.
But man, yeah, this is cool. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing for Palestine. I love what you're doing for your career and the animals. I love animals and farm animals, house animals. I don't care. They're innocent beings. They're innocent.
Yeah,
exactly. And they need the love. They need the proper treatment. Let's end on this. Temple Grandin, I'm sure you've heard of Temple.
Yeah. She actually came to speak to us at Barry when I was at Barry. So it was really cool. I got to meet her. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Temple Grandin, man. I saw her film. I'm sure you've seen it. And for her, she's a professor at Colorado, isn't she? In Colorado? Which school is it? Yeah. University of Colorado or Colorado? I can't remember.
CSU.
CSU. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, Google Temple Grandin. It's spelled just like you hear it. She's incredible for livestock and specifically cows and the cow herds, and she changed farming for the better. So that's
she's
awesome. Amazing person. Well, listen, Hibah, I appreciate you coming on. I'm realizing I'm aware of the time that I promised. I'm not gonna go over it, but also we're way too close to not be like kicking it more. And
I know
we gotta get,
for sure.
We gotta go to some more concerts. Davis has some great concerts that come out that way. I gotta start looking, and I went to a Drake concert in Davis.
Nice.
Before he was even that big. It was hilarious.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And then he blew up. And A$AP Rocky opened for him. And then right after, like a year after that, A$AP was like all over the.
Oh wow!
It was awesome to see. Yeah, it's just cool to see moments like that. Like.
Yeah, no, that is cool.
It is cool. Yeah. At the where is it? What's the auditorium? Wow, I forgot. The big the Arc. It was at the Arc. They
No
they
way.
shut down the gym and they turned it into a whole big concert. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so fun.
I know. But anyway, did you want to plug anything? Did you want to promote any websites or your social media, anything like that?
Yeah, well, I guess for like anyone listening who's interested in learning more about Palestine, I would just really encourage people to look at alternative sources here. Like, I think it's really hard in the US to get non-biased news. So I would say, like, do your own research, do your own reading. I have a lot of like book recommendations if anyone wanted to reach out to ask about those.
Where can they reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach me at, let me think of, my Instagram is Hibah __ A. So it's 2 underscores.
2 underscores. It's right here on the screen, so you'll see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also just great organizations. Like, I've run the Chicago Marathon as a part of Team Palestine, and all the money goes to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. So it's just a really great organization that helps Palestinian children in need. And then, of course, there's the UNRWA, which is a great organization that's helping Palestinian refugees. And then if anyone is interested in learning about my journey back to running from my hip injury,
yes.
I also have an account called Back on My 2, like the number 2 feet. And I'm just like showing what happened, because it's a pretty uncommon injury, and like how I'm getting back into running. So
wow. Is that on Instagram as well?
Yeah, it's also on Instagram.
Great. Follow Hibah and follow her journey back to running. I was there at the unfortunate beginning when she was like, listen, I broke my hip somehow. And then, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then, and so now, but I'm glad you're almost back. You're well on your way. That's continued prayers for you to full recovery.
Thank you.
And obviously prayers for Palestine.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, you got to be the Middle East's voice. You got to be Palestine's voice, Iran's voice, because like we will share as much as we humanly can, and we will continue to share the truth. And I say the truth because the people have the truth. There's no politics, and you can see it. I believe it, because the internet is getting the world to be smaller and more connected. Like, I mean, Hibah and I met in person, but that's rare nowadays. Like, we usually meet online, you know. But bottom line is that with all of us united for a greater cause, everybody deserves human rights. It's not reserved for certain borders, because those are fake anyway. Ultimately, it's one human race, and we're all together. Let's protect these lands. Let's protect the people in these lands. Let's free Palestine. Let's free Afghanistan. Let's free Iran. Let's free the Middle East. And free thinking. Freedom is not free. We have to fight for it peacefully. But that's what it's about. Hibah, I appreciate you coming on. You were awesome. Thank you so much for joining Fumble Podcast. This has been episode 95. I'm yours truly, Pej the Maniac. I do comedy. Follow me. I got a show at the Comedy Chateau this tomorrow, as of the moment of the release of this episode, which is Tuesday right now. I'll be at Comedy Chateau in Los Angeles. If you're out there, LA folks, come check me out. DM me, Pej the Maniac, on Instagram, on Twitter, on all social media. Subscribe to Fumble Podcast. This has been episode 95. Hibah, you're a real one. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And if you talk to Layla, tell her I said, what's up?
Will do.
All right, guys. This is episode 95. I'll catch you on the next one.